Hey everybody, welcome to Behind the Bolt with Pro Bowler Nick Hardwick. I am Jordan Bean here for what is seemingly your communal group therapy session after another tough Chargers loss. And Nick, it's just like deja vu for Chargers fans, another game where they lose it on the last play.
Oh my gosh, is it ever heartbreaking? It's tough to be a Charger fan.
Right now,
I empathize now with everybody who cheered for me throughout my career.
Right.
It's tough, and you've lost a lot of games at the last second even. Oh.
3 games that the Chargers have lost have all been lost on the last play, and it's just so tough. And when you look back at this game, there are no excuses. But you are fighting with one hand behind your back, and that hand is in a cast. Because you have 12 players that went off the field, either didn't return or came back banged up, including Keenan Allen, who is now out with a kidney injury for the next little bit of time here. How tough is it to win a game or even game plan in-game when you lose that many players?
Oh, incredibly tough. The scene I was reminded of was the Monty Python Search for the Holy Grail, where the knight's not going to let him, and he's got his legs cut off, he's got his arms cut off. You account for guys to be playing in the game, and you practice with them, you prepare with them. They've got the game plan down. The coaches know how they're going to use their men. And then within a moment's notice, that script is flipped right on its head. And you've got to, on the fly now, adjust your game plan for the personnel that you got. You're dealing with backups who are backups for a reason. And all due respect, backups have a very significant role in football due to the number of injuries. But nonetheless, they're still backups. They're not made to start. They're not made to play extended periods. When they come in and do a good job, you're thankful. But you can't count on a whole team full of them.
And it seemed like the Chargers were trading plays for players. Every time they snapped the ball, there was another guy that was raising his hand and running off to the sidelines, especially early on in that game. But somehow the Chargers found a way, with backups and all, made it close. And when you have Phillip Rivers, who is having a remarkable season despite everything else that's going on with the Chargers, you always have a chance in the end.
Well, that's exactly right. He's such a strong leader, and he came out so highly motivated after the letdown against the Oakland Raiders. You knew you were going to get Phillip's best performance, and he came out ripping. Malcolm Floyd broke Tony Martin's record for receptions and moves him into 10th all-time on the Chargers list. He had 2 touchdowns, career high for him, tying it. He had a 70-yard bomb. You have some nice performances. Keenan Allen had a beautiful touchdown, but you continue to make mistakes that set you back. Special teams is not performing at all like they should. You got the punt at the end of the game. Jacoby Jones lets it hit on the 23, and it takes a very gracious Ravens bounce down to the 3-yard line. And when you're in that situation, the rule of thumb is you need 2 first downs to allow yourself to flip that field over. Well, there were no first downs achieved.
And there was almost a safety to be had on 2 different plays.
On 2 separate ones. It was close. They were both reviewable. And then you punt the ball out to the 38-yard line.
You're putting your defense in a tough position already. Right. And the Chargers, if you take away a few plays, football is a game of plays either way that really decide the outcome of a game. And it seems like right now the Chargers are in a point where all those deciding plays seem to go against them. And even looking at a 3rd and 19 play, if you stop them, maybe they have to punt it. Maybe this is the moment where things will bounce the Chargers' way. Instead, on 3rd and 19, you get a pass interference.
Oh, and it's brutal. It's heartbreaking. And that's what it comes down to, though, is making the plays at the critical moments in games. And as of late, the Chargers have been unable to do that.
I want to talk a little bit about the play of Phillip Rivers, and I want to throw some numbers out at you. He's completing, over the past 4 games, he's completed 69% of his passes, 1,500 yards. He's got 10 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. The Chargers are 0-4. When you get that kind of a performance, when you get a guy who's putting you in a position to win each time, that has to be so frustrating for everyone to think that we can't get a W.
And that's where it begs the question, do you need to bring some balance back into this offense? You're ripping off numbers at a tremendous clip. You're setting records. However, you're not ending up on the positive side of the win-loss column. And that's where you have to think at some point you'd like to see some balance brought back into this offense, maybe take some of that pressure of performance off of Phillip's back, let Melvin have a few more carries. He had 18 carries, which is his most in a while.
Yeah, they were trying to go with the run. They were dedicated to trying to get something out of Melvin Gordon, out of Danny Woodhead, out of Brandon Oliver. 26 rushing attempts, 81 yards, but it was a long of 6. They just aren't able to really get traction and get those big bursting runs.
Yeah, and I think they're still working to find what works for Melvin and what he's comfortable at running. He's a tremendous athlete with a lot of upside potential, and they both just have to find what fits for both parties, the team and Melvin.
Yeah.
In order to keep the offense moving forward.
Defensively, the Chargers, of the past few games, have had a difficult time stopping the run. They did a pretty good job bottling up Mr. Forsett and that Ravens offense. They rushed the ball 25 times, 72 yards with a long of 11. But again, it was tough penalties and the inability to get off the field. Sure, they kept the Ravens to simply kicking field goals, it seemed like, every drive. But the problem was, it was almost every drive. They didn't see the punter, Sam Cook, until late in the third quarter, unable to get the ball out of Joe Flacco's hands.
Yeah, and those work hand in hand. Special teams and defense create the field position for the offense to go down and make the path easier to score points. The Chargers' offense, however, failed on their final drive with a bad snap on second down and then a false start on third down, which set them back and limited them on a drive that they were moving along very well. It slowed them down, and they had to kick a field goal.
Chargers now 2-6. They haven't been this bad in terms of record-wise since 2003, when they were 1-7 at that time. In the locker room, though, you were in there afterwards. Did it seem like a team that was closing up shop? We're all done here, or did you sense fight and frustration about the inability to get over the top?
I still sense fight and frustration out of the men. There's optimism even that, hey, we are not out of this thing completely. I talked to several guys on the plane who say we just have to win one game, and you never know what can happen. If you win one game, your preparation gets so much easier and more enjoyable for the following week, which translate into another win, and hopefully this thing can snowball. Winning is contagious, and the Chargers just need that first win to get them going.